My fiancée, 27F, miraculously got pregnant. Baby looks nothing like me. We had been trying to have a baby for a few years. Eventually, we found out I was sterile. We accepted it and decided to hold off on trying so hard and said that we would figure out what I do in the future. Although we weren't trying, we were continuing to have sex obviously. One day she missed her period and we found out he was pregnant. I was so happy and I thought it was amazing. We joked about how as soon as we stopped trying she ends up pregnant. The doctor said that it was a miracle baby. The night that the baby was born I couldn't be happier. I was just happy to finally have a baby, and so excited to take her home. After a few days of taking care of her, I couldn't help but notice that she was extremely pale. For reference, I am black and she is white. I figure she would eventually darken a little, and I didn't want to overthink it. Then our friends came over and while the girls were inside we were out back drinking. They all mentioned that they didn't want to worry me or to cause drama, but asked if I ever thought my fiancé would cheat on me. I thought I was very weird and then I knew exactly where they were going with it. I said no and we talked about our concerns with the baby's skin tone. However, I still tried to brush it off thinking that the baby would get darker after a while. Now the baby is 5 months and I can't help but question if she's mine every day. She has very fine hair. No kinks or curls, just bone straight hair. I know she's a baby, but I have been around plenty of babies who still have natural curls. She is also still very pale. The thing that's been bothering me the most is that every day she looks more and more Asian in the eyes. I don't mean to offend anyone at all, but her eyes are just very stretched, they look nothing like mine. Is it wrong for me to be questioning my fiancé when this would have never crossed my mind before? Am I just being paranoid? How do I go about addressing this? Do I even say anything? My biggest fear is that the baby is somehow mine and she will be extremely hurt that I accused her of sleeping with someone else. I just don't know what to do. Please help me. Update. I don't even know where to start. Part of the reason I didn't update right away was that my thoughts have been all over the place as of late. I have been making major adjustments and dealing with a lot. My daughter is not actually mine. While it was incredibly hard to get through at first, I think that a small part of me was already mentally prepared for it. I just had a feeling. I hoped it wasn't true and I convinced myself that I was doing this just to rid my anxiety, but I think deep down I knew. I took a lot of the advice given, and I thought about it for a few days. After deciding how I was going to approach the conversation, I asked my fiancée to drop the baby off at her mother's house so we could have a night to ourselves. I made dinner and then tried to talk about things that we had been going through recently, and how our lives had changed since having the baby. I explained that I had been having bad anxiety, and that I believed that it was partially caused by becoming a new parent, but also the fact that I was sterile 1 minute and then told we were having a baby the next. Right away she saw where I was going with that and she did get a bit defensive. She continued to tell me that miracles happen, and that she couldn't believe I didn't trust her. I explained that I saw exactly where she was coming from, but asked that she saw it from her point of view as well. We argued and she refused to do the test. I told her it was fine and that I would leave it alone. I wanted to leave it alone, but she kept bringing it up all night even after I had apologized and said that I wouldn't bring it up again. She kept telling me that she couldn't believe I would think of her that way, and that I should just be happy that we have a beautiful healthy daughter instead of trying to accuse her of cheating. That's when I started to question her. Something just didn't feel right, and I knew I had to do the test regardless. I did the test the next day and waited a few days. By the end of the week, I found out that she wasn't mine. I cried for about 2 days straight. I just couldn't handle it, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I tried to spend as little time in the house as I could because I knew she would see something was wrong right away. I struggled with figuring out how I would let her know that I knew. I also contemplated whether or not I should say anything because I knew that this would change things with my daughter. I finally decided to just tell her. Of course, she denied it and said that the test was wrong, and that I need to just drop it. I explained that the clinic said there was no way this could be an error. She continued to deny it, and I just couldn't believe that she would still lie to me straight to my face. She threatened to leave and take the baby even though she has nowhere to go, seeing as her own mother doesn't want to get involved. We've been pretty much ignoring each other when we're not dealing with the baby. She said that she will be out in 2 months, and I'm glad. My concern right now is whether or not she has the right to take the baby. I love my daughter more than anything, but I refuse to stay with this woman. I know the baby is not my blood, but if I'm on the birth certificate, does that help? I at least want to have shared custody. I bring on over half of the income of providing everything for the baby. There is no way that she could take care of the baby without me. She will not be able to afford it. I know there's probably no way possible for me to get some custody, but is it pointless to fight for shared? I can't lose my daughter. As much as I hate what my fiancé did, I don't even hate her. I can't explain how hard it is having to deal with losing someone I love so much, but also knowing that they would do something so terrible. It's hard enough having to end this with her, but I don't think I can handle not seeing my daughter anymore either. Please help with any advice as far as how I can fight for shared custody, if that's even possible given the circumstances. Edit. Forever person that feels the need to comment rude things like she is not your daughter, please stop wasting your time. I am aware that she is not my blood. That does not take away from the fact that I have been the one taking care of her since she was born. I have been the one changing her diapers, feeding her, etc. It baffles me that some of you don't have the decency to understand that after creating this bond with her, I refuse to say she's not my daughter now. I know that this is Reddit and that I am probably asking a lot of some of you, but seriously, how hard is it to just be a decent person? My wife, 30F, cheated and got pregnant without telling me. My wife and I have been married 6 years and together for 7. We had a bit of a whirlwind romance, but there has never been any problems. This is why all of this is such a shock to me, because apart from a few minor bumps and the odd argument, our relationship has been nothing but loving. We have just always really got each other. My wife was away for the day when I decided I would cook dinner for us that evening. I remember my wife telling me about a recipe she found online that she wanted to try, so wanting to surprise her, I go onto her laptop's browser history to try find the page. That's when I noticed several websites about terminations on her history from about a month ago. They were all websites on how to cope after a termination. Naturally, I'm a bit confused, so I search back in her browser history and find termination clinic websites. It was not long after the dates that she accessed these websites that she had to go on a business trip out of town. We both have our own laptops and never use each other's, never mind search through the history of the other, so I guess that's why she didn't feel the need to delete it. I'm extremely confused, so I text her to get home ASAP and try to rationalize everything in the meantime. She travels a lot for work, so her having to go on a business trip wasn't unusual. When she eventually got home later, I confronted her and she broke down. Up until this point, I was really hoping there was some explanation. The cold, hard truth is that she had been having an affair with a guy from her work. They had to go on a business trip together, got drunk, and things went from there. Now when she has a business trip, he comes along, or else she pretends it's a business trip when really it's just a getaway with her lover. She got pregnant, didn't know if it was mine or this other guy, and had a termination. I hadn't a clue. Nothing has changed between us the past few months, we have been as good as always. I'm so cut up about this. Not only did she have an affair for months, but she terminated what could have possibly been my child. She knows that I can't wait to have children, but we want to move house first before trying. She was the love of my life, everything as far as I knew was perfect, and she does this to me. I asked her why she cheated and she said she doesn't know, they were both drunk, and then it became something exciting. I can't stop thinking about it all, especially knowing that I wasn't doing anything particularly wrong, she was just drunk and bored. I couldn't even look at her, so I'm currently staying at my parents' for a couple of days with my good friend Whiskey. The worst part about this whole thing is that I still love her. I can't imagine being with anyone else but her. She keeps calling me, trying to talk and wanting to work on things, but I don't know what to say. Should I even try to salvage things? Edit. I know it hasn't been that long since I posted this, but I just want to thank everyone for their advice and support. I've read over every single comment and thought long and hard. I think I already knew the answer when I posted, but now there's no doubt in my mind. The only thing I want to settle is all the unanswered questions I have. I'll make sure to update when I talk to her. Update. First of all, I want to thank every single one of you for your advice and support. It's helping a great deal. I knew deep down what I had to do, and you guys pushed me to it. It's been a tough past few days, but here's the majority of it. I rang wife up and asked if I could come round and ask her a few things. She was hesitating, trying to make an excuse, and I heard her talking to a man in the background. I'm not stupid. I told her to tell whoever it was to get the duck out. She finally agreed and I headed over. I can't remember everything we talked about, but the main points are: the affair had been going on and off, for nearly a year. She still couldn't tell me why, except that it was originally a drunken fling, but it developed into something exciting and a great way of distressing. The guy had been at our house earlier because she was so upset over me apparently. She panicked when she found out about the termination and didn't want to talk about it with me because it would mean confessing about the affair. Also, the other guy was pressuring her to keep it because he wanted to step up as a dad. Also, she confessed that she is hesitant to have children. She wanted me to give her time to get past the affair and the termination. She was willing to end it and prove herself to me. I admit I was tempted, but I shot that one down straight away. She would never have told me about the affair and the termination. She would have gone on living her normal life. She assured me that he had no STDs because she got herself tested recently, but I've booked an appointment at the doctor anyway. I told her that I wanted complete NC unless it was about the divorce. I deleted her on social media, all the contact information I have for her, got rid of all the photos and things she gave me. The only way she is allowed to contact me is through my mom, so I luckily don't have her number, and don't have to speak unless it's something important. After she had answered my questions, I basically told her that I had already contacted a lawyer, and I was giving her a week to move out. She was upset, but she understood and agreed. She did try beg that I let her live there until she finds somewhere, but I couldn't stand looking at her for an indefinite amount of time. I was so frustrated when I left after hearing about their affair, etc. I may have taken a bit of petty revenge. The next day I rang up her work and advised them that 2 of their employees were seeing each other on business trips, something they looked down on, so they assured me they would look into it. Whoops, guess I'll have to wait and see if anything happens. So now I'm just at my parents' waiting for her to let me know when her crap is gone. I'm waiting to see my doctor and my lawyer. Her family has contacted me apologizing, and my family and friends have been a great support. I know for a fact that she has lost a couple of friends over this. Everything feels like I'm taking the right steps, but every day is still hard and I can't stop thinking about her or our memories together. I've deleted all the contact information I have for her, so I should be okay. It's going to take time to get over, but I feel like I'll definitely get there.